Welcome to the quietest ones in the room. Let's give them something to study. How y'all doing this evening?
Doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing well. I cannot complain. A lot has happened. A lot is about to happen. So yeah, we've got some weather. That's it's been a drag. It's cold,
I
snow.
hate
You
it,
know.
man. I hate the snow. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I mean, and again, I know everybody has their own feelings toward the snow. My personal feelings is, and I think a lot of husbands feel the same way I feel. Is like it's so much work because you have to like clean your car, your wife's car. You gotta like You gotta dig everybody out. God,
Hmm.
like it's hard. Oh my God, it's like a whole process. I mean, I'm very blessed and I'm appreciative to even be able to do that.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, I did not like the snow. I think I'm really a LA guy.
Look, the man of the house, as they say. You
Yeah,
got to take
man, in
you
the
got to
house, you
take
gotta
care of
take care of
all of it.
all that, man. And I'm
Gotta
blessed. I'm
be.
blessed for it. I'm blessed. I love it, but at the same time, I hate it.
Look, it's much easier too when you're a little handy. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? Much easier, but still, nonetheless, it's a lot,
We
especially
have
when you
more
got to
snow in our
travel.
forecast, so that's interesting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I hope it passes on. That's what I'm hoping
It's
for.
it's still kind of early though, so
Yeah.
I can't see how they can
Um.
definitively say it.
Yeah. Look, I know everyone's having their weather events. We might as well just go ahead and address the elephant in the room, which is the fire in California. I know everyone has their perspectives on it. I know everyone's been watching a lot of what the news has been saying about it. I have so much that I want to say. In this particular, podcast, we're going to talk about hopefully a lot of different things, but I think it'd be appropriate if we started, you know, the discussion talking about the fire in California. Um, I have my thoughts. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in first, but um, I have my thoughts on it. Anybody want to say something before I go off?
I mean, first and foremost, man, like this is horrible. I'm really just sad. I'm very empathetic. I have a lot of compassion towards the people that's going, is going through what they're going through. Um, I just want to say that I'm not a fan of the fake outrage.
Yeah.
And what I mean, and I'm not talking about people that's showing compassion. I'm talking about people that are like screaming, you know, almost bloody murder. Everybody is talking. So it's like one extreme or the other. You got some people who have no empathy and they're like, oh, they're rich, just get over it. And the other side's like, oh, it's so horrible what's going on. And it's like almost some people are comparing it to the travesty that's going around the world where I feel like, you are allowed to have a thought and a feeling, but don't mask it behind fake outrage. Just say your opinion about what's happening. Speak your thoughts and just, be objective. Don't need to be so just outrageous. And again, it could be bots, it could just be just young people, it could just be people who are just immature and ignorant towards what's the situation, but it's just so tiring to read it all.
Yeah.
I
I
just
mean,
want to
there's
say it's
certainly,
okay,
yeah, there's
Tracy.
certainly a lot going. There's certainly a lot of that going on, Mel. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, my thoughts and prayers go out to those people that lost generational homes, because I think the last time that I checked, there were 8 different fires, and the people in LA County, not all of them are rich. There's a good percentage of them that were rich, but I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist, so I won't do that here. But I will say that one of the areas that was hit the hardest is the one that appears like, I'm not from LA, so never been there, But just if I go by what I'm reading, it seems to be one of the larger cultural communities that was taking out, as well as generational housing. Some of those people had been in those homes 30, 40, 50 years. Um, so I couldn't imagine. I don't even know what I would do. And I'm hearing different stories coming out about what the next steps are. And I guess we'll talk about it. But it's just very unfortunate. I don't know if you guys both heard that the police department, not the police department, I'm sorry, the fire department had been defunded. And I don't understand that,
Mm.
particularly since LA, or not LA, but California specifically, are known for fires to break out all the time. So it's just a very unfortunate um, situation all around. And I think a lot of people were unjustly hurt financially, emotionally, spiritually through this tragedy. I have no words. I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine.
Yo, let me just piggyback off that,
Yeah.
Lisa Marie, because I know Jean Aiko was talking about how she's gotten so much just hate and just so much um just discouraging words for her situation because she's an entertainer. She's saying like, I'm not rich. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing well, but it's not like I'm
Hmm.
rich, you know.
Hmm.
And I have a home that I've built and accumulated like memories and life, my child, like, and it's gone.
Hmm.
So you can't, there's no amount of money can replace that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? While I'm sure she'll get herself back up. Big Sean's her baby father, her husband or whatever. So I think money wise, she's
He
fine.
didn't marry her, but go ahead.
He didn't marry her.
No, he made some BS excuse about why he's not doing it yet. But that's another show for another topic. Another topic for another show.
Yeah, my fault, Sean. But the point is, like I said, like people showing no empathy, and I just hate that. Like, please, if you're not going to show empathy or compassion, just don't say anything. Just keep your
But
thoughts.
that's the internet, though. You know how the people they're thugs behind their keyboard thugs.
I don't know why I'm lying. I want to hear. I
Well,
want it
look,
all.
look, look, look.
I want it
I want to
all.
say this right because I listen to both of you, and I think I think a lot of people feel condolences for the area, right? But then yeah, you're seeing some of those people get what they deserve. Okay. Um,
You talking about Palisades and Calabasas? You talking about those areas?
yeah, I guess so. But this is where I'm going to say some things that um, I think are important about the situation. Because I think when it first started happening, just like a lot of things that happen that are, man-made disasters or natural disasters, people jump
Mm-hmm.
people jump the gun really quickly and they start making opinions. They start saying a lot of things that if they just took their time and digested the situation, they would probably come out of it thinking differently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you said something interesting where you mentioned the firefighters being defunded. And
Mm-hmm.
so I do, when I see things like this, I'm like, okay, what is really going on? And I like to do my research and really dig into the matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's a program that happened in the 1970s in California called Prop 13, and Prop 13 was to limit the amount of property tax on the housing in California. As a result, what this caused was less funding for firefighters, Department of Public Works, your police officers, etc. All the necessary things people need during an emergency. And the reason they did this was because they wanted to make California a more attractive destination. And we know how it goes. Like when you're purchasing a home or when you're thinking about moving somewhere and the cost of living, you're thinking about how much money is going to come out of my paycheck and how much money is going to come out, if I decide to buy a home. But I think what's going on in California is a warning to all of us, no matter where we live in America, in that we do really have to pay attention to the type of legislation that gets passed in our areas, because I was telling somebody this, where in the county that I live in, I saw it reported that people were getting upset that the taxes were going to increase by 70%. And people were saying, well, if you increase it by that much on my fixed income, I can't afford to live in my home. That's been going on in California for decades, where the people's home values have been going up so much that the basic jobs couldn't afford to pay those property taxes. So some people would lose their homes, or some people were making just enough just to pay the property tax, even after obviously after the home is paid off. But those limits, whether it's here in North Carolina or where you are, Mel, or where anybody else is, when your taxes aren't being allocated appropriately to first responders, these are the types of things that can happen. Because firefighters, it's not just about, being reactive, it's about being proactive. They do things to prevent fires, fire prevention, right? And how many times have we seen it, in particular with Helene, when things hit the fan, people are like, well, where are we getting the funding from? What are we going to do? And then FEMA has to step in with the federal fund to make up for whatever the state wasn't able to do through taxation. So there's an element of, with these fires going on in California, everybody's trying to figure out who to blame. Should we blame the mayor? Should we blame the governor? Should we blame DEI? It's like, is it God? Did a man go into the forest and start the fire? Like, nobody's going to know all of that stuff, but what we do know is that the firefighters have been saying for decades and have been warning people that they don't have the resources. How in the world can you live in California and you know that you have water issues annually, and when the fires start raging, you're running out of water out of your hydrants? And that water is coming from Colorado, right? That water is coming from Colorado, the Colorado River, into California, into those areas to be used, when they have other water resources that they can use to take care of these situations, but they don't want to use those water resources because they're concerned with the economical impacts for the ecosystems, for the animals that are surrounded by these large bodies of waters like the Mono Lake. So, I mean, people can point their fingers at whatever they want, but ultimately, nobody's been listening to the firefighters. And people have, to Mel's point, you've used this word before, Mel, what is it, recency bias?
Yeah, recency bias, man.
And the idea that people don't have, man, a couple of weeks from now, nobody be talking about the situation.
Well, yeah, that's the issue with it, because people go so high for it the first couple, like right now, people's not even thinking about the fire.
They're not thinking about it. No, people aren't even thinking about Helene anymore.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, well, I don't think that this is a time to, stun people from saying whatever they want to say about the catastrophe going on. I think this is a time to listen to everyone, to get the perspectives, because a solution is necessary. There have been fires about every 5 years, every decade, clearly in that area, that have been devastating, whether it's destroyed more land or whatnot, right? But a solution has to be discovered. But the issue that is currently going on, and with all the fires that have been going on, the firefighters, like I said, have been saying it's a lack of funding, not defunding that has started recently, but a lack of funding that's been going on since the 1970s.
Yes, my understanding is that, California is fairly dry anyway, and there's quite a bit of underbrush. I don't know if the firefighters, if they had funding, could take care of that, but it sounded like, when I was reading about it, that it was basically a perfect storm. It's already fairly dry, and then they had these unusually high winds that kind of
Yep.
came in. That's my understanding, but I mean, I could be
Yeah.
off base. But
No, you're not
to
off base.
Tracy's
That's
point,
every fire.
with funding, there's nothing that they could do to tackle the underbrushing thing. And this is, I don't know if I believe it. I haven't done enough research on it, but I don't know if you saw the houses. There were 2 houses that were built that were untouched, and they said it was based on the materials. Let me see if I can find. I wrote it down. The
While you're looking that up, let
Uh,
me say this. To that point that you just made and what I was
uh-huh,
talking about with the funding. The
uh-huh,
funding is so limited that they took incarcerated men and
right.
had them on the front lines of the fire, making $10 a day.
So there is a story out there. Again, I briefly saw it and I haven't done any research yet, so I can't say definitively give you my opinion on it or tell you what I think about it. But I did say that I did see where the funding was taken from the firefighters. It was given to the police department. I don't know if that was in one of the many BS stories that have come out since this tragedy.
Yeah, it's BS because every municipality sets a budget aside for each department. Okay. So no, that's not the way it's necessarily gonna work. But what happens is, because I used to sell software to municipalities, and what happens is each department has to justify why it needs more funding.
Right. That's what I thought.
The city has to look at the budget and say, okay, we're going to allocate this much money over here, this much money over here, this much money over here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But with homes in that area that are $10 million and they're paying $100,000 in annual property tax, that's nothing that's nothing if you have that going on too much with the people who have $1 million homes and their taxes for property tax, are capped at 1%. That's not enough to take care of a city with 9 million people. I was telling Mel that the city of LA with 9 million people, Georgia alone has 10 million people in the whole state. So they have been dropping the ball over and over in that area to accommodate for these types of situations. And they do have access to water to take care of the situation. All anyone's got to do right now is Google Mono Lake. Google Mono Lake, and you look into it and you determine if you think that water could be used for natural disasters such as this. I remember thinking to myself, I was like, well, isn't this place close to the ocean? But I know the argument with that is, well, you can't use the ocean water due to the salt because it corrodes the firefighters' equipment. And it makes the soil insolvent. So it would make it even more probable that as the environment's trying to repair itself, it would hinder that. So I get that with the ocean water, but they still use it anyway. They're still using it anyway. It's like they've made all these excuses for so long, and now people are having to deal with a greater devastation. And again, I don't live in the area, and I would hate anybody to say, well, you don't live there, so you can't talk about it. Well, listen to what the firefighters have been saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I believe that excuse now. You can't really say that in this age of information.
Say it again. What you mean?
Like what if somebody would have said you can't say that because you don't live. No,
live there. Yeah.
This age of information. No, I can definitely say that because I've done the research properly to say that people in your area is reporting this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
And I mean, we've all been homeowners, and we understand property tax is a sore thumb. Like nobody wants to pay property taxes.
Nobody wants to pay property taxes.
But if you don't pay the property taxes when the hurricane hits you in Florida, what are you going to do?
See, okay, so well, so that's my thing there, right? If I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like if we're paying these property taxes, we're going to be protected to an extent. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, what I'm saying is that specifically firefighters, just like many of these departments, police, right? We actually did a show a while back talking about being more preventative, right? Being proactive versus reactive. When they have more funding, they're allowed to be proactive. I literally worked with municipalities in the country, and in particular, Teton Village, Wyoming, where they have per capita the most billionaires in one area than any other place in America.
Right.
Okay. And I don't know if that's changed since then, but they spent so much money on their public works department to take care of things in the event that if something goes sideways, they got the resources because they got the tax base for it, right? So yes, what I'm saying is, can anything happen? Of course it can. But instead of 50,000 structures being destroyed, maybe 10,000 would have only been destroyed. Maybe 5,000 would have only been destroyed. Okay. And the other thing that we got to understand is how insurance played a role with this. Y'all remember years ago when the insurance companies were like, we got to get out of California.
Yep.
We can't even be here because the people we have to literally make these people pay high premiums and they don't want to pay it.
You got fires, earthquakes.
Yeah, all this stuff. Monsoon, tsunami.
Landslides, yeah.
It sounds like hell. In hell. But these homes, and we know this for anybody who doesn't have a home, you know that if you get a certain mortgage, you are required to have mortgage insurance, home insurance,
exactly.
Right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
But think about all those people there in LA whose homes were paid off and they were just paying property tax every year and they did not have the home insurance because they're not required to.
Correct.
And the home insurance, believe it or not, is anywhere arranged between, now it's different if we're talking about multi-million-dollar homes, but the average homes there, you're looking at about, let's say $1,000 to like $3,000 to $5,000 annually. So I want you to think about this. If these are $1 million homes in California, when they burn those homes down, the insurance companies aren't going to give them the perceived value of the home, which would be like, $1 million, $2 million. They're going to give them the cost to build the home. That's one thing. The other thing is that with the insurances, it's like if everybody in California, in LA, has this insurance, and the insurance is now going to cover to rebuild these homes in California, guess whose insurances go up now? Ours. Our car insurance is now going to go up. Our home insurance is now going to go up. Our taxes are going to go up because of that devastation. So it's like all one big fuckery. You get it? So, yeah. And it's a lot to digest. And I'll say this one last thing, and I'll let somebody else jump in. Lisa Marie, when you said, the wind, et cetera, man, they got footage in the 1900s and on, the radio footage when people are like, all we need is a change in the wind and we can save the area. And so even Mel, you said it, this stuff has been going on for so long. They know this ain't going to be the last fire in the region.
Well, no, but when you hear firsthand accounts and they say it just happened so fast, I guess for me, the part that's just mind blowing is literally neighborhoods are gone. Like homes are just completely leveled. And it's like, the people in legislation, when they look at that devastation, it's like what are their plans to put in place? Like there's only a handful of homes that were saved. Like to see when they show that aerial view, it looked like a third world country. It's insane.
These people don't care about any of that.
Who's these people?
The legislation in that area, the rich
Oh,
people. If they had
oh,
cared, they would have been paying their property taxes and they would have allowed the firefighters to be proactive. Period. Everybody was getting sacked.
I think Palisades even had one of their water reservoirs offline.
Yeah,
It was
but
for it was for scheduled maintenance though, but yeah.
yeah,
It was just like
but
a perfect, I don't want to use the word perfect storm, but it's just like everything aligned for it to create mass devastation. It was just, yeah, just
let me
terrible.
ask you. Let me ask you guys both of you. If you like where you live now, are you okay with the idea that which do you prefer? Do you prefer that the state mandates your public works and your police, etc., these essential things, or do you believe these things should be privatized?
If those things are privatized, I believe. Now, let me first say this. I wanted this to stay the same in a sense, but I believe if it was privatized, I want to stay the same because the evil that I want to say evil, but the information I already know, it's easy to deal with. But I believe it's privatized, it'll be more it'll be more subjected to corruption. That's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But also it'll be subjected to possibly higher aptitude or higher
Mm.
quality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Understood.
saying?
Yeah.
Because it's in competition with other privatized entities, if that makes sense. But it's also more subject to corruption.
Right. I had to mute Lisa because I don't know what the hell staying in the background. But yeah, Mel, that's a good point. Um, I think they're going to try to push for when the dust settles, they're going to try to push for privatizing some of this, and I think that that's going to set it up for another pitfall.
Mm-hmm.
Because I heard a guy say, yeah, they should have robots out there, and the robots can stop the fire. I'm like, huh? Robot? He said, yeah, they can just run around with like a
I
little like
mean,
water squirter.
in
Really?
8 years, I say 8 to 15 years, possibly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that you can program a computer. I think you can program a robot to do something like that, or some kind of machine to go out there and like extinguish things, or some kind of land drone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know,
agree. I agree.
maybe in 8 to 15 years. I don't see that now. Talk
No.
about. I saw the robots now. I've seen some of them. No, we're good.
We're good on that.
That's why I tell people, oh my God, AI is gonna. I said, trust me, we are fine. We are fine, guys.
Yeah, and in terms of fire prevention, I think, having a human component along with, like you're saying, some type of machinery is
Yes,
beneficial,
yes.
but people have a different decision-making process. Like, do I save the human or do I stop the bridge from burning?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do right here, the robot thinking. But yeah, I think there's going to be some possible privatization, and we can kind of shift a little bit, Mel. I want to get your take on this, and this infuriates me. Um, and I'm just gonna say what I think. I think whoever is positioning this, they're evil. They're an enemy. Okay, and it's this. And let me say this before I say it too, which is, do I care about it? No, not necessarily. Do I think we need it? No, I think we need something else, which is this idea, and I don't know if you've seen it, where people are saying that DEI is to blame for the fire in LA. What is your take on this, Mel?
One, that's a cop out, obviously. Honestly, and the reason why I'm kind of blank with this statement is because I don't even see how
It's relevant.
it's relevant.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's why it's hard for me to even come up with even a guesstimation to why someone would even try to blame. It's just one of those things where I think that they're trying to pass blame, and that's just something they thought of because people would think not to ask questions.
Did you see that somewhere, Tracy? And what was their reasoning
Yeah.
for specifically saying DEI?
Yeah, I've been seeing it in a lot of different, talking heads. I call them enemies. They're saying it in regards to, the DEI play, which is, the diversity, and the mayor, he's African American, maybe, I don't know. And
Well, the fire chief is LGBTQIA too.
right, so they're saying, and they're politicizing it by saying, DEI is to blame. Now, this is the part that, no, I want your take on it, then I want to say some stuff. But go ahead. What do you think about it?
Me?
Yeah.
Who's to blame?
No, not who's to blame, but how do you feel about
It
now
being DEI? Oh.
saying that it's DEI? Yeah.
The same thing as Mel. I need, so if you say it's DEI, what is it about this entire situation makes you say that DEI is the reason this happened? I need that bit of context before I can kind of answer that. I don't even, because outside of that, I don't know what the relevancy is.
I'm gonna say the only possible thing is because maybe they believe that DEI is taking resources and that's the reason why.
That's BS.
But I covered it.
That's the only
saying,
thing I can feel, but that's stupid. Because like
Tracy
said, since the 70s, they've been taking resources from those entities. So I just don't see the relevancy even why they brought it up. I feel the
comment. Exactly. Now I saw Elon say DEI equals die, and he's saying it in reference. It's crazy, right?
Wow.
He's funny sometimes, but it's evil. He said that, and he's ultimately referencing California in the situation going on. And this is what I understand. And I'm so mad I didn't understand this until now. I thought I understood what propaganda was. Like, I really thought I had a grasp on this is what propaganda is, and this is what it looks like, and this is why. Like, I fully understand it now. Okay? And this is what I want to say to all you Christians who say you're Christians. You're not Christians. And you should stop. You should stop under the guise of Christianity and trying to make it like you're trying to take this country back and implement these things that you say you want to implement and are important for, I don't know, the forward progression and what the forefathers wanted, etc. You guys operate like Satan. And it infuriates me that these people who are under the Christian guise talk about things like DEI and how it needs to be removed, do not move in the vein of how Jesus would have moved, how Jesus did move. You get what I'm saying?
Appreciate all that, every bit of it.
Like this, all it is, see, we're living in a time right now where it doesn't matter how right you are. Okay? The three of us right now, we can come up with the greatest tools. We can come up with the best plan for society. We can come up with the best plan that LA needs to move forward with after the fires. And they'll say, are you Christian? What's your family life like? What church you going to? Oh, you support who? Oh, you DEI. Get up out of here. Because they literally believe that they set the standards and need to maintain the standards. But they're fools. These people are fools. This is why this is why they've lost for maybe 50 plus years against science, because what they taught and what they believe is not mostly applicable. See, now that Trump is here and Trump came, they use his common sense. This is what they say. Oh, he's so commonsensical, right? They use a lot of those talking points under the guise that they're Christian, but they're really exclusionary, right? And
Well, that's what religion.
I'm tired of it, man. I'm sick of it, bro. I'm sick of it. Like, these people are enemies, man. And they deem you an enemy. That's the thing that people don't understand. Like, the moment you say, as a Christian, DEI needs to be removed, or like Elon is saying DEI equals die. And the game he's been playing. He's been trying to side with the Christians, and all the while not even saying he is Christian. It's like, no, you guys operate like Satan. The blame game. Yeah, the propaganda bothers me. I've seen too many people, man. I've seen so many people have great ideas, and that's not what matters at all. Things that actually would create forward progression for humanity, but they don't care about that. All they care about is what standard they believe is the right standard. But this is the truth of the matter. No matter what you believe, whatever your ideology is, there are flaws in all of it.
Right.
But we got to pick and choose, right? And what I've come to is, if you side with them right now in this time, if you side with these DEI people who say, let's get rid of it, etc., you'll have an easier life, right? Because they're going to make it very hard for you to survive when you don't stand with them. But if you stand with them, you'll have an easier life. And we know person after person whose lives have become difficult, and the people who believe in their ideology as going against the grain, they made their lives difficult.
Yeah.
And so they're just going to turn this fire situation into another one of those.
Yep. And I agree with you with the whole Christian thing, being under the guise of, that seems to be a really big thing. And when I think about people that are in the news or are popular, celebrities, et cetera, whatever, the ones that come off heavily Christian or say they're very Christian are usually the ones that were later found in a scandal, or they're not very nice people. Yeah. So all the time.
But Pharisees and scribes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
But these people they don't operate like Jesus at all. Like, and we'll switch subjects in a second, Mel, because I wanted to talk about something you brought up, which is, if you've never read the Bible before, there's a particular point in the Bible where there's a woman who was about to be stoned. And Jesus goes to protect her, and he says, "Ye who have not sinned, cast the first stone." And this woman who had committed adultery was saved by Jesus, and Jesus said, "Go and sin no more." Right? Now, people will talk about how, I guess Christianity has dominated women, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But these are men who have perverted the teaching, right? And these people talking about, again, the DEI and whatever other type of propaganda they want to come up with, they pervert the teachings. And they're complete frauds. And they're the ones that will, cast the stone at everyone without taking account, Lisa Marie, to what you said, the things that they're doing behind closed doors.
Yeah, because I don't believe a lot of these people that say they are Christian believe in any of it. But when you tell someone that you're Christian, most of the time it is disarming. And so they automatically trust you because you're Christian.
Yeah. It's like the get out of jail free card. It's like leave me alone card.
Right.
I mean, well, it's the predominant religion in
Yeah,
the United States, so I think people just feel safety in it. I also feel like people like, well, people like myself, honestly, are also cultural Christians.
yes.
That's a whole, new genre. It's not even really religious, not even really a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of an
Right. Mm-hmm.
identification.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because in all honesty, Christian morals, in essence, like Christ-like morals, like Jesus influenced morals, are actually very, I
Very
think they're
good.
very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're really good, especially when they're actually applied to one's life. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I believe a lot of people who may not believe in the religion per se, or believe in the whole totality of the spiritual part of it. A lot
Yeah.
of people do identify cultural Christian. So yeah, if somebody says
Right.
Christian, they're immediately going to identify you as a good person, which I think
Yes.
is wrong, because historically Christians aren't really good people.
Right.
I say that respectfully, like very, because I would consider myself a cultural Christian. My family, my dad's a bishop. Like I come from a Christian background, what I'm saying, went to
Mm-hmm.
Christian university. So I would consider myself very much in tune with Christian values. And let me just say, objectively, Christianity has always been pretty exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the what they teach is so anti-Christ. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's appalling, man. It's appalling that this propaganda engine that they have is perfected. It's so good. That's what I understand, man. It's so good what they do. They have so much money behind it. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes, like trying to fight up against it, I mean, it's just gonna make your life harder. So you really got to choose, what you're gonna do. But Mel, on that vein, you were saying something about FS1. You're asking me if I heard about it.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a total switch up. What I'm saying, we're talking about some very honorable and real noble things right now, I would feel. Just to talk about some straight fuckery in the FS1 world. Like I don't know if you heard about, have you heard about it, Lisa Marie?
No,
Um
what's going on there?
so basically, y'all heard of Skip Bayless?
You're talking about Fox, right? Fox One.
Yeah, FS1 Fox is, it's the
Okay.
sports station for Fox.
Oh wait, you're not talking about the whole Joy Taylor Ocho thing,
And
are
I
you?
hate that. And I hate that.
Oh
I
my
hate it.
God.
I hate that you even so Tracy, I hate the fact that Lisa Marie even identified it as the Joy Taylor thing.
Joy Taylor situation,
Because in
right?
all honesty, it has nothing. I mean, yes, I will say the one thing she did try to prevent her from getting a job and try to convince
Mm-hmm.
the. Let me tell you what's going on real quick, Tracy. What's going on there? I'm gonna call it the Skip Bayless case. I'm gonna call it the FS1 thing, because allegedly there is a makeup stylist who worked for FS1 from like 2012 to like 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, she was a part of a show called Speak. She did all the makeup for like Speak for Yourself, Undisputed, which is Skip Bayless's show,
Mm-hmm.
Colin Cowherd. I'm gonna try to like speed this up for you, because there's a lot. There's a 42-page
Take your
deposition.
time. Take your time. Mm-hmm.
Take my time. So, like, for instance, let me start from the beginning. So let's start with Speak for Yourself. There's a show, Speaking for Yourself, a guy named Marcellus Wiley and Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock is a
I know both of
asshole.
them.
Yeah, he's
Mm-hmm.
an asshole. I don't really like him at all. They had a show, good show.
Mm-hmm.
What the woman is alleging is that Joy Taylor, who Lisa Marie brought up earlier, beautiful woman. She is the brother of Jason Taylor, who was the defensive end for the Miami Dolphins. She's always just kind of been around. She was a bartender, by the way. Respectfully, I mean, there's nothing wrong being a bartender, but she's a bartender. What she's alleging is that she was sleeping with and she was married, by the way. She was sleeping with the showrunner, Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Dixon. or Mr. Diaz. I forget his last name. She was sleeping with him, the showrunner for Fox, vice president. He got her a job as a host. Or I'm sorry, she already got the job as a host, and through that process met him, started sleeping with him, and through that time process, she got her own show. She took over the show, Speak for Yourself, with Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock got fired. Emmanuel Acho, who she convinced, by the way, during this time, she worked for Undisputed. She was working for Colin Cowherd. She's smashing the vice president, but she's also smashing Emmanuel Acho. She coerced the vice president to get Emmanuel Acho to take Jason Whitlock's spot. So now Jason Whitlock and Marcellus Wiley are partners. During that time, there is a decent show. She then convinces she's sleeping with Emmanuel Acho. I mean, it's allegedly sleeping with Emmanuel Acho as well as the showrunner. It convincing him to fire Marcellus Wiley and replace him with her. So now she has her own show with Emmanuel Acho, the man allegedly she's been sleeping with, as well as the showrunner. The woman that was alleged, like, was trying to tell Joy, was like, listen, like, are you serious? Like, you're sleeping with him and him? Like, that's kind of dangerous. She's like, oh, I run this company. I do whatever I want to do. Which, by the way, low key very true, because now she got the whole show to herself. And by the way, Lisa Marie, I have no issue what Joy did. I guess the only thing,
I mean, you're a man, so I mean, I have issue, but go ahead.
I have no issue because what she does in her free time, again, the pillow talking is an issue, I guess. She did coerce the person to get fired. She took another black man's job and got another black man fired for another black man. Anyway, let's continue the story. So,
did you cover Skip getting sued too? Did I miss that part?
Which part did I miss?
Yeah, you did cover it. That you covered him getting the lawsuit, the $1.5 million lawsuit.
Oh, I'm about to get to that part. So, so again, with Joy Taylor, I have no issue with what she did. A lot of women are getting on her because she's been about women empowerment and like women shouldn't have to sleep to get to the top. Where in fact she has slept to get to the top allegedly.
Right.
I think that's pretty awesome. I love Joy Taylor. I have no issue with what she done. But we'll talk more about that. I'm sure Lisa Marie got thoughts on that. But real quick, this is the Skip Bayless part of it, Tracy. And I think this is why, and nobody's even talking about Skip enough. I find it crazy because he offered her $1.5 million to sleep with.
Yeah.
Like I want everyone to sink. I think they've said it so much this week, but I really want us right now to really like live in that statement.
Yeah, just let it set in.
I got a question about it then.
I feel like she's lying, by the way.
In what context?
Maybe not.
As
Maybe
far
not.
as
I have a theory.
In the context of a contract for a job?
So here's my theory, Lisa Marie, and Tracy, to that point. She and in the deposition, she made a point to tell Skip, because Skip for weeks, months would try to have sex with her and entice her, try to do
Jesus P. Skip Bayless?
Yeah, Skip, yeah, exactly. In fact, she even went as far to say, or to rather imply allegedly that, hey, you slept with Shannon Sharp, you should sleep with me.
And that's alleged.
That's alleged, right? Even though I believe that happened as well, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Hold on. Come on.
Yeah,
no, real
okay.
quick.
Okay.
Are you saying that this is a filing?
Yeah, this is all filed in a report. Like this is all the deposition, 42 pages.
And she's saying that Skip and Shannon slept together?
No, she's saying Skip is mad because allegedly she slept with Shannon.
Oh, okay. I misheard you. My fault. Go ahead.
No, I gotta be more clear. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Tracer is about to be like, hold on.
Yeah, I was about to go in.
No, but that's very important that he mentioned. Again, these are very important points because as men, and Tracy, you're a man, you know how we think, and when it comes to competition. If he's, again, I've been around, I've never said this, by the way. I've been around guys that have said, that have told women like, oh, but you slept with so-and-so. Oh, but I saw you with him. And for some reason with men, not all men, but certain men, I call them, let's just call them weak men. who they really tried to not shame the woman, but really tried to tell the woman like, and that's an ego thing, by the way, like because you're messing with him, dealing with him, you have to deal with me because me and
Right.
him are on equal playing field, or me and him are in this
I'm
guy,
better
this
than
man's
him. Yeah.
idea in the same stratosphere, which again goes into the delusion of Skip Bayless, who his whole life feels as though he can talk to sports athletes
Right.
who are actually built and have actually studied this craft or their craft rather, and feel as though he can tell them that they're wrong and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's why I believe everything she's saying is 100% true, because there's certain things that just logically I can see how a weak man, this like the 1.5 million, for instance, before he made this offer, she made a point to say she had ovarian cancer.
Mm-hmm.
She told this man that, one, to try to tell, like, show like I'm going through hard times, stop trying to have sex with me, and then two is like, I have cancer, like, don't have sex with me. And he just proceeds to say, I'll give you $1.5 million. And I believe it's true from a perspective. At first, I didn't believe it's true, but then when I heard ovarian cancer, I was like, oh, this dude's a scumbag. He's really trying to entice her with, one, hush money, and two, ovarian cancer
Or
treatment.
she said she had hard times, so he tried to play on that.
Yes, exactly. And that's something that sugar daddies do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like wild to me. So,
But it's the ego thing because he thinks,
all
well,
ego.
if it's good enough to allegedly sleep with Shannon Sharp, why can't you sleep with me?
Yeah. Like real, like he like, and again, I've been watching a lot of talk, like a lot of talks. I know for Marcellus Wiley and Jason Whitlock how to sit down talk about all this, which by the way is a whole other discussion with Jason Whitlock basically saying that, oh yeah, that's why I had to stay away from Joy Taylor, man, because those big old cans were everywhere with that brown skin.
What?
That's what he said. But I'm not. But that's a whole other discussion. But he said that, and but basically in their discussion, they're saying like they are in very high competition with each other.
Well, I feel like there's something going on because Emmanuel Acha, right?
Yeah.
He had posted a video on his social media. I don't follow him, but I saw this and when I was reading that he was really bigging Joy Taylor up. Because they do the show and everything together. And he was like, really, giving her flowers, so to speak, which I thought was fine, right? Until he decided to delete it. It's like, well, why would you now?
Yeah.
Now it looks weird because why would you delete it?
Why would you do that?
Yeah. It's yeah.
No, but no, there's a picture of her going out, and y'all probably haven't seen. I'm gonna try to find the picture, but the picture of like he's like it's them two together at his house or his place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a selfie, and he's like under the covers with his leg out. And honestly, like he looks like he has no drawers on. Like
Is it where she's holding the can and he's holding a wine or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, real talk. Yo, he has no. I'll tell my wife, like, yo, seriously, he has no underwear on.
Why would he post that though?
He didn't, and that's the thing. He didn't post it. She posted it, right?
Joy being Joy. Okay, all right.
No, she being messy. Yo, again, this goes back to depositions. The woman said she was this cocky. She has felt like she was running the place. She has felt like she's above it all.
Yeah.
Again, I'm gonna find the picture and send it to both of you. But his face, and again, if I didn't see his face in the picture, it's like, oh, his face looks so uncomfortable. He has no pants on, and she's taking this picture. Like the face he's making is like, why is she taking this picture right now? Why is she making it hot right now?
This is what I walk away with. Everything you just said, which is Pimp, Thugs, and Hoes Chronicles. That's all this is. I mean, these are a group of people attracted to each other because they're pretty similar.
They're married people. Well, she's married. Was married.
She was married and engaged.
But to Mel's point, she was wheeling and dealing in the environment, getting people axed and sleeping with this person to elevate and all this. Like, and then so if Skip is used to doing that, of course they're going to be attracted to each other. But this is what I don't understand. I don't understand like why these people, particularly these guys, they get all this money, all this fame, and they still don't understand. Maybe because they don't understand how it works, but they still don't understand. As a man, you should always choose who's choosing you. Like, but they got this thing where they still want to chase and pay and all. It's like, why are you doing that? You're in a position where, I mean, given enough, they get a lot of opportunities where I'm sure people are trying to choose them. But then I'm not in these spaces with these people. Maybe people not checking on these individuals. So
Oh,
they
it's
try to
totally
pay.
ego driven. It has like honest. It's all about. It has.
But that
nothing
gets you
to
in
do with
trouble,
this
though.
woman.
Yeah, that gets you in trouble, though,
She's
Mel.
the
That
backdrop
gets you
to this
Diddy.
whole story.
What Cat say? He said, you gotta tell him now. You know what I'm saying? Like these people don't understand the word no.
I am flabbergasted every time I hear about a man that this happens to, right? That gets taken advantage of. Because it's because it hasn't happened once or twice. It happens like all the time. And I don't know if you guys talked about it, but and we won't divert or whatever. But the Travis situation, is it Travis Hunter? Is it Travis Hunter? You guys know who I'm talking about?
Bless his
Like,
soul.
yeah. So it's like, I understand that the company of a woman and a good looking woman is important to a man and a man's ego. But at what point do men either start to see the red flags or they just don't care about the red flags because she's just that bad? Like, is that what it is? Is that what it is?
No, these guys.
Dumb.
No, this would happen. A lot of these dudes, they get famous early on. They've been that guy, maybe. Okay, and they really never learn the game. And so what they do is they chase what they want, and that gets them in trouble. They don't practice any level of patience.
That's crazy because
It's
women chase what we want too, but I think it seems like women are more strategic about it. Well, yeah, but I think women are more strategic about it in some cases, depending on what it is.
Well, let's talk about Trav. Well, let's talk about Trav. No, we gotta talk about Trav for a second because there's three things about Trav. One, he's ugly, and I say that respectfully.
Well, she basically said that, but go ahead.
No, she did say that.
Well, I was trying to be nice, but go ahead.
Yeah, she definitely said that. The girl he got with, he met her like 5 years ago. I mean, he met her like his sophomore year in high school, junior year in high school.
You know about the brother part though, right?
Like the brother told told his girlfriend, fiance, like, oh my God, you know who this is? And then
it's her brother.
Yeah, and then
she wasn't interested in him.
Yeah, she wasn't interested. Now the brother's his best friend. And now, now she's interested. You know what I'm saying? After she said that he wasn't, he's not really her type, and still said, "Oh, he's not really my type."
That's not the worst part.
As in the present tense.
The worst part of the videos that are now surfacing.
Oh, her like dancing on dudes and like being
while they were supposed to be together.
Yeah.
An adult question for the both of you: What generally happens? What generally happens when one person wants to be with a person and the other person's like, I don't really know about them like that?
What do you mean? What happens?
They usually get married.
What did you say she said about him?
Oh, she said he's not her type.
But he's obviously into her.
Super.
Super.
How do those relationships normally work out?
Oh, they're not going to work out.
Oh, they're not going to work out.
He's going to end up hurt. This man deleted his Instagram so people could stop commenting. And you've had other celebrities in the NBA and the NFL that have come out online and been like, look, bro, like you're young. First of all, what is he, 20? How old is he, Mel? He's super young.
21.
Yeah, they said that they're not trying to dog him out. They're just trying to tell him, look, you just need to be a little wise by how you're moving. You got plenty of time to get married and all that jazz.
But see,
Tracy.
those are dudes though. Yeah.
No, Tracy. I was gonna say this dude's. He don't party. He don't drink. He don't smoke. He don't do nothing.
And she does all that.
But she does all that. So he drives her to the parties and waits out in the car for a while. She's in there drinking and dancing.
So this is what happens, right? What happens to the young man in these situations is he's into a girl. He's not really into him. That relationship doesn't work. But he's got fame and he's got money. The people around him tell him to do what? What do they tell him to do, Mel?
Probably marry her.
What they tell, no, that person he wanted to be with is gone now. Wow.
Tell me.
Use your money. Use your money. So it goes from, okay, for example, obviously this is a guy who probably chased this girl. Okay. Oh, yeah. And that's what often happens. The guy chases a girl, and then for whatever reason it doesn't work out. But he doesn't conclude that it just was because she wasn't into him. He just concludes that, oh, maybe he needs to be a little bit more forceful. Maybe he needs to spend some bread.
I mean, he bought her a house.
Right. So what do you think he would do for the next person? The same thing.
I don't know. The way he is going, though, Mel, you have to let me know if you agree with me or not. I feel like if this ends and it ends badly, it's going to be like the beginning of his villain origin era.
No, he'll become a villain like most guys. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. Because he's such a nice, gentle soul now that she's going to make him a savage if it doesn't work out.
And again, I feel like everyone
keeps
the people and I think Lisa Marie and Trace, you definitely gonna agree. I think he's 21 years old. It's all a part of being a man. You know what I'm saying?
Like he's about to be on the road. He's gonna have women in front of his face all the time.
And so
not just that, like he's gonna see it. He's gonna grow up and see like, oh, she's annoying.
All right, I'll say it this way then. So Skip Bayless offered how much?
1.5.
So we got to know that Skip is not the only one that does that. If it's true.
No, he is.
But even if you don't take Skip, look at what
they said he's autistic.
Okay.
No. I'm like, I think they were joking, but Marcel's Wiley said, "Oh, he's definitely on the spectrum."
Okay. Oh my God,
he's kind of weird.
Yeah.
1.5 Tracy. $1.5 million for a woman for a night for a woman.
Yeah, but if you got it, you got it.
No,
it doesn't matter. Like
1.5 million.
If talking like as a person who doesn't have it, it's like, oh my God. But when you have it, it's like that's what you
don't really got it, Tracy. You know, there's levels. Like he's not $100 millionaire.
No, I don't think that. Based off of what you said, I think that it might have been like a contract deal. Like, hey, you do this job, and that's what you get paid. Jews do that all the time. They hired him as a secretary. They hire him as she worked the front desk.
She was saying one night sex, 1.5 million.
Come on. See, now you have no context. But
no, that's what
she said. That's what she said. That was in a deposition.
Yeah, I didn't read it. I don't know anything about the situation. All I know is that when you have a scenario where a guy has money and he keeps chasing a woman and they keep saying no, they just keep wanting to spend more money and become violent.
Yeah,
that's what I know.
She said she did say he was becoming very pushy or whatever.
Yeah, that's what the OGs teach. Yo, man, you just gotta have bread.
That's
bro.
insane.
Keep spending bread, bro. Keep spending bread, bro. Keep spending bread, bro. It ain't no. It's just not right now. Just keep spending bread, bro. Just keep. That's how they do it. And that's how they get caught up. That's how these guys get caught up in these scandals, man. They're spoiled. Like being a person that played, basketball, it's like you get an idea, when you're doing that. Mel, you know how this you play sports, how easy it is. But then what some people do is they keep going after the person who doesn't want them.
Yeah. And real talk is a part.
But that's an ego thing, isn't it?
It's an ego
No.
thing, but it's also a game that they play. Like, I don't want to go drift too far away from things, but I've talked to women who live that life. Like, I've talked to a woman who's to date Bobby Valentino. I knew a girl who's to talk to Chris Brown. Like, I know like how, like these girls live a certain way and they act a certain way, and there's a methodology in how they operate.
It's taught behavior.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they're
but Tracy,
able.
you're saying it's not an ego thing, but I guess I was thinking it would be because it's like, okay, all girls want me, but you don't want me. So it's like now I feel like he's got to prove, like it's something he's got something to prove with being an
No,
ego
it's
thing.
the
'Cause it's like,
guys. It's kind of weird. It's the guys around him validating him. Like, let's take the prototype of a guy who is young. He's a star in high school, all the way through college, goes pro. The guys around him can't understand why he don't want him.
that's crazy.
So then they keep telling him, "Oh man, maybe you got to just spend a little bit more money, man." Nah, they can't say no to you.
I think we gotta go a little deeper. And what I mean by that is that I think you guys, we're adults now. We've been through the dating world and dating game. And you know what I'm saying? I even look back when we played sports, Tracy, even when you used to get girls, it wasn't even about girls. It was about trying to impress the guys with the girls or the amount or the quantity of the girls you got, or rather the quality of the girls.
It was. I get what you're saying. It was technically about both, but I do agree that it was like.
Now, let's even look at what Cam Newton said a few weeks ago about going to the strip club.
Yeah.
Y'all hear about that? How he said like when
he said he goes for the guys, not the girls.
He goes for the guys, not the girls.
Meaning,
I get it.
That was strange.
Get it. But it sounds kind of, it sounds pretty. It sounds homosexual. You get what I'm
saying?
No, it
not
does.
Not if you knew where he was coming from.
His explanation was very heterosexual, but it from initial, it does sound very homosexual. No,
because I get what you're saying, Mel. But
I know exactly what he's saying. But even going back to even with what was now, let's bring it home to with Skip and what Marcel's Wiley was saying. Skip became obsessed with this hairstylist the moment she believed that she slept with Shannon. It wasn't like, oh, he saw her first, and the moment he thought that they slept together, he started to make repeated unwanted sexual advances towards her.
That's like a mental illness, because it's not even about her now. He's in competition with Shannon,
just like he is on the show. Yeah. So he's taking that show mindset outside of the show because he's so obsessed with his job and with his mindset, which is why they kept saying this dude's low-key autistic. He's on a spectrum because he really does just love. He's so competitive about everything. It's so strange.
But Mel, I think it's obvious that if you started a company and you hired some guys and they're sleeping with women that you hired, a lot of guys internalize it and say, well, if you can get them, I get them too. I hired you. I put you in your position. That's how a lot of dudes operate, especially, guys who do things as a means to an end. So I hear what you're saying, but no, I want to go back to what you said a second ago about what Cam said about the idea of doing stuff for men. I don't think it's necessarily that much as it is. It's kind of like a combination. The first thing is true, but it's about the girls. But the second part of, yes, you do compete. It's like, oh, how many can you get? How many numbers can you get? How many can you be with in a week? How many? So that's true. But what I'm really addressing in my mind is the hierarchy that a person like a Skip Bayless has been operating in for so long. It's like, dude, you don't get to sleep with the receptionist that I hired. And if you do, if she's sleeping with you and you're the reason that I'm the reason that you're able to pay your bills, why wouldn't she want me? So, I mean, that's that's how it goes. And so, Lisa, let me ask you. What I'm trying to figure out is, why do you think that dudes don't stop when you say no? Like that psychology of why they don't stop. You said you're not interested.
Because so I mean, I guess my opinion on that would be is why not would you not be interested? Because first of all, it's a narcissist. So they already think highly of themselves. And it's like every girl would want me. Why would you not want me? And then I think it goes from it being them genuinely being interested in you to now it's a game and you're a chess piece. And once he conquers you, he wins. I don't know why. I don't know why men do that. And I feel like it's not as bad if they don't know anything about you, but it's bad if you know the same people. And I say that because if it's a guy that wants to get with you and you're not interested, but you've gotten with a friend of his, well, now he's in competition with his friend because it's like, what is it about you that she was interested in, but she's not feeling me like that?
Yeah.
So it's more of a competition. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a competition thing.
When
But
is
I don't. Go ahead.
when is the guy supposed to give up?
The first time she tells you no, but that doesn't happen a lot.
That's not
It doesn't
true.
happen a lot.
Because some girls
Listen,
don't want you to give
listen,
up. Some girls don't.
listen.
They like that cat and mouse game.
No, let me break it down for you, Mel. There are some women, and I know what you're talking about. There are some women, if they're truly not interested in you, you're going to know the first time you advance to her that she's not interested in you, right? But then there are some women that like the idea of being chased. And so they'll be coy and they might be like, no, I'm not interested in you, but then turn around and flirt with you the next minute. So it's like, well, which one is it? You want me or you don't?
Yeah. No.
Hmm.
And I'm happy you said that because again, I agree with you that I think men, we know. You know what I'm saying?
You men
But
definitely
I do think
know,
men
but
who don't have an idea of themselves, a true idea of themselves, are delusional. So they might not really know. But
right.
we
And then you just have
spell it
some
out though.
people that, like you said, competition, they don't like the idea of someone telling them no. Like,
Nah.
who do you
See, I
think
don't
you are?
think
You
so, man.
telling me?
I think it's that some people had grown up environments where they had a father or uncle who taught them, like, this is how you operate. Like we do
I
know that.
mean,
You know what I'm saying? Like, we do know
yeah,
that there are a
I
lot
hear
of.
you, but at some point, and that part is true, Tracy. But then there at some point when you grow up, you start to develop your own ideology and opinions about things. And I think those men that you're talking about have never really done that.
Yeah, because
And then
they're
some people
reinforced by
just,
the people around them.
yeah,
You think
that,
that you
yeah.
think Diddy? You don't think Diddy had people around him that was like, yeah, this is
Well,
how
I
you
call that
do it.
the super. That's the super fly. We grew up in the super fly era.
So, but here's the thing with that though, based on what I've read, I don't even think it was necessarily the people around him when he became Diddy. From what I've read about him and his upbringing, that started with his mom.
Okay, then
So,
there it goes. Somebody taught him.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's got to teach the young man, like, when they say no and they're not interested, don't sweat it. Just
Yeah,
like you.
but that brings me to the point too, though. Like, when do you learn to have your own idea about that? So, for example, that same man eventually has children, and they happen to be girls or daughters, right? And your daughter comes home and tells you, "Oh, this man is keeps hitting on me, and I keep telling him I'm not interested." What's he gonna do? Look at her and say, "Oh, baby, just give in." No, he's not gonna do that.
No, no, no. But I mean, that's on the opposite end. Because I mean, ultimately, some guys they maintain that same type of behavior all through life, and this is why you'll have a Harvey Weinstein, um, and these other nefarious characters, because somewhere along the way they weren't taught to choose who chose you.
Right. And some men need validation, right? So I've always heard, because I'm not a boy, obviously, like from some of my guy friends, the way that they've been brought up, they weren't in touch with the emotional side. They weren't allowed to cry or be vulnerable and all that jazz that men don't like to talk about, right? But they need that level of validation. And so even if it's attention or sexual attention or a girl wanting or desiring you, it's validation for them. And when they don't get that level of validation, it bothers them because it takes them back to not getting that validation as a young person, like making somebody proud of them or proving something to someone.
So, but you don't think it's just that men think they know what women want?
Oh, well, I mean, hell, all you gotta do is look at a podcast. There's hella men that think they know what women want. Are you kidding me?
Well, let me be the
A
first to
lot
say
of
I don't know what the hell y'all want.
A lot of men. Well, see, that's the problem, though, right? Not every woman wants the same thing, but and the same for men. I'm not going to say the same for men because when women are talking about men, it gets lumped. People lump people together. So instead of trying to the person that you're trying to woo or get to know, or the person that you might have issues with if you're dating them, maybe try getting to know them and learning about them and what makes them tick versus going on to a podcast and letting them tell you what makes them tick. That's what the problem is. A lot of people don't use their own thinking cap to determine how to navigate a situation.
Yeah, people like different things, and I've seen it go sideways with both men and women who just
Yeah,
can't take
absolutely.
rejection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like women, I think, I mean, I hate to say this, but I feel like women are can be just as violent as men when it comes to rejection. And what I mean by that is
Oh
a man.
yes.
Well, what I mean by that is a man might ask you for your number and you say no, and all of a sudden he like kills you, right? But a woman, if you're dating a woman and you guys split up and you're dating somebody else and she wants you back and you want nothing to do with her, like can be very dangerous. Like that could be very dangerous. Stalking, harassing the new girlfriend, maybe targeting you, killing you. You know what I'm saying? It's
Or
I don't know
trying
where
to burn your house down.
I don't know where that came from. That level of just such it's like people try to bully you into wanting them, and I don't understand. It can't be everybody
Well,
was brought up with the same principle, Tracy. Like
yeah,
what you're saying. You know what I'm saying?
I think what it is like there's a level of people believe in the stereotypical lies that they're taught about why the opposite sex likes you. So the girl
Mm,
may hear, "Oh, you should wear if you wear makeup like if you wear this type of makeup and look like this, you do your eyelashes, get a BBL." And the guy hears, "Oh, money, success, the car," and then they get these things, and they're like, "But nobody's checking on me." That's infuriating to some people.
I want to
So
also this I want to say something real quick. Have you heard about how Nick Cannon came out and said he has a narcissistic personality disorder?
yeah,
And again, that's a whole. I think there's a whole other pod to talk about that. Just get deep dive in that. But just to touch that, I think that's an issue why a lot of people can't take rejection is
yeah,
because of just that. I think because of social media, because of the age we live in,
hmm
it's causing a lot of people to develop a narcissistic type of personality disorder. I believe because they're so
So to
self-absorbed to themselves, and they think
hmm
that they're the star of their own movie, and things don't go in the way that
yeah,
they think their script is supposed to
yeah.
go. And their whole world ends, and they're
See,
not able to move on and like cope with life properly.
I like what you said. I think there's an element where I think you should believe that you are the star of your own movie. But I think what happens is people like no, you know how it goes. You're told. Matter of fact, somebody sent me this. It was last year. They sent me a meme where 50 Cent was like something about if you lose your money or something, they won't stay with you. I can't remember how it went. something to that effect.
Mhm.
So it was about like, dudes have your money because that's how you keep them or whatever. And so, can you develop narcissism around the amount of money you have? Sure, but somebody had to tell you, oh, money is the key to get them and keep them, or oh, you're attractive, so you're gonna get plenty of them. Ooh, you're funny, so you can talk them into and again, the same thing for the opposite sex or whatever. But I just think it's a whole bunch of people who don't understand again the basics of stop trying to add people to your space that don't want to be there. It's pretty simple, and nobody's teaching this at a basic level. And so when I get the bread, when I get the fame, I'll use that. And if she say no, I'll still rape her. And she got no recourse because who's gonna believe her?
Exactly.
She's a nobody.
Yeah.
Who's Joy? What's her name? Joy Taylor. And she's using the part of her power, right? In the scenario of sex and life or whatever. But these are just silly games that pimps, thugs, and hoes play. Like regular average Joes, regular people ain't got time for these type of games,
No.
and really got to focus on dealing with people who want to deal with you in the marketplace of dating. Shit. A lot of people lose their lives because of that rejection.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate. It's sad.
Yeah, yeah. How did you hear about that Nick Cannon situation?
Oh, usual, black media, Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club, that Breakfast Club. Um, yeah. I appreciate you for sharing those stories, man. I hadn't heard any. I don't even know who to do. Did you say Travis?
Yeah, Travis Hunter. He's a cornerback for Colorado. He
Okay.
plays for a Deion Sanders team.
Oh, so he got super clout.
He won the Heisman.
Oh yeah, he got super clout.
Yeah, he's gonna probably be a top 3, top 5 pick.
And he's still gonna be with somebody who said that they not into him like that.
It's
Or did
wild.
they?
It's very because she's gonna marry him and she's gonna take half his money. Like it's gonna happen. And knowing him, he's gonna be so happy. He's gonna be, it's fine. And it's really sad because in his mind, she's like the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. But in reality, it's like, man, you haven't even seen the world yet. It's just so unfortunate. It's wild being older and look at these young guys and like, man, y'all have no idea like what you're missing out on. And you're thinking so incorrectly right now.
So you would advise him to chill out on her?
I would say date her and continue to keep trying to pursue something with her, but don't make her fiance and don't impregnate her, which he did both things.
Oh, he got her pregnant?
Yeah, I wouldn't do neither one of those things. So he did both.
He a Christian?
I assume so because everybody is, but there's been times where like he's like walking, talking, trying to talk to fans, and she'll get mad and like pout, and he'll have to go attend to her. Happens all the time. As Lisa Marie pointed out, there's been videos of her like dancing other dudes, being with other guys while they're together.
Did you say he got her pregnant?
Yeah, she's pregnant.
That's wild.
Oh, well, she played. Never mind. Okay, Joy. She played that hand well. Because she's 21 years old. She was out partying, right?
Yeah, drinking all
this
the
is
time.
This is just speculation.
Yeah.
You've been with this man for 5 years and you never got pregnant, but the moment you think that meal ticket might be slipping through your fingers, you get pregnant. Yep. Come on now. I know people are like, come on, Lisa, that's blah, blah, blah. I don't care. It just sounds sus to me.
This might sound controversial, and I don't care. But I've been saying for so long that men don't decide to have kids, but women decide to have their kids.
Right.
So when I meet a dude and he's like, "Oh man, I didn't want to have any kids." I'm like, shut up.
I
You
think
don't know
it's
how it goes.
equal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely equal because I went 37 years and it was on purpose. Now I must admit, COVID got me. If it wasn't for COVID, I would have definitely I was trying to wait till 40 years. So
Yeah.
no,
But
I think no. If
the
you're a
amount of
mature
abortion
adult,
clinics
you can
though.
definitely like. And again, I had a great mom. My mom, since I was like 8 years old, was like,
Yeah.
no, wrap
But
that.
a lot of times, Mel, this guy's in their 50s saying that, right? And I'm like, so somebody made an abortion clinic visit at some point. Maybe she just didn't tell you.
Yeah, that's that's very it just makes me mad, right? Because like there's like hella podcasts about how women are gold diggers or manipulative or this, that, and the third. And it's like
They always say black women too.
Mel, we don't need any we don't need any assistance, Mel. Okay. leave us black women alone to mind our black ass business. Okay. We be getting it from all ends. It's not black women.
Lisa Marie. Oh, go ahead.
It's not because who is it? Who's the Troy Tory, the NBA player? Oh, what is his name? His girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, who happens to be Caucasian, did a podcast called the Lana Rhodes in the Kitchen or something podcast. And they had an issue with her dating Megan Thee Stallion. She was trying to act like she didn't know who Megan Thee Stallion was. And Lana made some comment about, I thought he only dated girls that look like us. So
I haven't really dove in that situation.
Don't just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. So yeah, leave us
I wasn't.
alone.
And to be honest,
we be minding our business and we be catching strays for literally no reason.
Lisa, I got a question for you.
Oh, okay.
This is a controversial.
Of course it is, Tracy.
How do you feel as a woman when you hear men say me and my wife got pregnant? Or we're pregnant?
How do I feel?
Yeah, how does that make you feel when you hear that?
I mean, it's like, okay, well, that's a beautiful thing. A child is a blessing. Here's the thing, Tracy. Here's the thing, right? Women can determine whether or not a baby is brought into this world. I understand that. But a woman can't produce the baby without the help of a male, whether it be in vitro or through the physical act of creating that child. So, I know where you're going with that, but I personally, oh God, it's terrible. I personally like that when a man says that because it makes me feel like they're going to be very much involved through the course of the pregnancy, right? It makes me feel like that, like they're very excited about it. But but I know that it was a controversial question, and I knew that my answer was going to invoke or elicit some sort of laughter from you. So you want to explain the origin of that laugh?
That was good. I should take that. I should take that as a clip.
No, you should really expound. What are you feeling? What are you feeling, Tracy?
No, I just thought you said it really make you.
What'd you say?
It make you feel like they're gonna be involved, huh?
Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why, right? Because I've heard people say my wife is having a baby. I've heard men say, "Oh, my wife is having a baby on such and such and such and such," or I've heard them say the baby is due. To me, because I'm a woman, right? Men don't pick up on it, but as a woman and a mother, yeah, I pick up on certain cues. So when if I hear a man say we got pregnant or we're expecting a baby, I feel like the man is excited, is looking to be involved. Like when I mean involved, the doctor's appointments, like all of them, this, that, and the third. But when I hear a man say, wife is having a baby or the baby's due such and such without saying our baby or she or he or the name of the baby, that and I could be wrong, I'm hypersensitive to certain things. I take it as a level of detachment. But I mean, you guys could probably explain, right? Because you're men. And so when you guys talk about your children and or when your wives were pregnant, I don't know how you would have received the wording.
I think there is a level of detachment for the guy until the child is here.
Okay.
This is why you'll see like a lot of guys that once a child is born, they'll flee because now it's real to them.
Really? A lot of y'all are fleeing?
You know how it goes.
I'm just saying, like
a lot of dudes, they break out.
My good group of girlfriends, their husbands and or boyfriends, I don't recall them ever really fleeing. I recall them being very nurturing in her pregnancy.
Hey, if you know people who are good people, good for you. But
listen, that doesn't mean just because you have a level of detachment for the baby is here does not make you not a good person.
Right.
I'm not saying that at all.
Even if you leave, it doesn't make you a bad person.
Well, it's better that you do leave, right? Because if you know that it's something that you can't handle, why stay there and invoke any trauma and pain on a child that didn't ask for it and a woman that wasn't prepared for you not to be there for her, right? So I get it. I would actually prefer people who know that this is not what I want. I'm not committed to it. To go ahead and exit stage left, the sooner the better. Because when you stay in it as a parent and you're not committed to it, that's the beginning of trauma for that kid.
How do you feel about women when they have a child and they say things like, "This is my child"?
I feel like she don't like her husband. Why would you say a child is created by two people? I've never. I mean, obviously, this is the opinion of one person, one female. That would be me. I don't know what the whole female population thinks. But when a woman says that, let me put it this way. The only time I would refer to my son as my child with my ex-husband is when we were arguing about something. And I did it, right, because it was a dig, because I knew it would piss him off. Because it's like, wait a minute, that's my kid too. So, when she says that's my child and just general conversation, it's like maybe she don't even really need you now. She got what she needed from you, which was the sperm, and you can keep it pushing. Now, thank you for dropping it off. Nice knowing you. You got great genes. Appreciate it.
Context is everything. I think what you said hit the nail around the head. No, real talk. I feel like my wife, saying she'll say in certain situations, "Oh, that's my son."
Right.
But however, when it's something that she don't want to do, "Oh, that's your son."
Oh, that was never me.
You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, that's your son, or your son do something or that she don't approve of. Oh, that's your son. So I think content is everything. Overall, I agree with both of you. Like, in essence, like when we're discussing our child, I would like for you to say our child.
Yes.
I would like that. That's how I speak. I know when my son was coming to the world, I was really saying, "Oh, my son's coming." I wasn't saying our baby. I was saying my son's coming.
Well, okay. So let me just say, for a man, though, I guess I kind of like that's a legacy. That's a big deal for a man to have a son. So I wouldn't personally, as a wife, take offense to that.
Yeah, I wanted a daughter too, by the way, at first.
I do think the interesting parenting dynamics, because I have unfortunately had to experience this, is when one parent thinks they're a better parent than the other, and I'm just kind of like,
But that's how it usually is, though.
Right, but in my experience,
and you know who knows it?
The person who thinks they're the better parent is indeed not the better parent. That's why it's funny.
But you know who usually knows it?
Who?
The kid.
The kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell, right? In the way the kid reacts, and in the moment the kid doesn't react to one parent, the way that they do to the other. You know what the other parent does?
What?
Immediately blames the one parent the kid favors. Oh, you're turning the kid against me.
Mm-hmm.
No, like kids are very intuitive, right? They pick up on feelings, emotions, energy, words, body language. They pick up on things that you don't even realize they're picking up on, right? And if energy is better with one parent than the other, they're going to gravitate towards that parent. If that one parent has shown to be there for them when they don't feel good or if they hurt themselves, or that's the parent they're going to gravitate to.
So let me ask you this: in a general sense, given
Mm-hmm.
what Mel said about the Travis dynamics with the young lady,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think that will play out for the child, and what type of words do you think will be said behind closed doors regarding the dynamic if they don't get married? Because that's still yet to be seen. But even if they do, like what type of
Oh, they're getting married. He's sprung.
Well, so here's my thing. I I don't even know if they need to get married now if she's pregnant, right?
but do you think she will do? Let me ask you this question: do women feel safe when they have a child by someone, but they're not with anyone, especially the baby father? Do they feel unsafe in the world?
When
Do
they're
they feel
not when
vulnerable? Do
it
they feel? Yeah. Does a woman feel vulnerable when they're by themselves with a child?
does
Typically,
she have family?
maybe.
So if she's got family riding for her, like mother and or father, brothers and sisters, I would say outwardly, I would say outwardly no. But I would also think, and this is an assumption, part of her might feel a way because she is bringing a baby into the world by herself and the baby won't know the father. And that's going to have to be a conversation when the baby gets to a certain age. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've me speaking to I have seven sisters, so I've spoken to them about this before. I've spoken to many women in our family about this. I believe that a woman's strength is so underestimated. Obviously, a single mother can do just as well, as a two-parent household. I
We
will say
can.
this. Yeah.
But emotionally, though, Mel, that
Yeah.
same woman is not going to show you what she's feeling on the inside.
Yes. And that's what I was going to say. And then my next point was going to be speaking to women who had it both ways. They said, 100% they would rather it be a two-parent household. One, just because you're able to share the not just the load, the heavy load, but also the load of emotion. Because there's so much emotion that goes involved with a child that even though you'll have a lot of help, you're not able to share that load of emotion and that load of worry, I guess. And the women I've talked to, that's they said that's one thing they, not just the help, obviously, because obviously you have some in the household that makes things a lot easier, but just the weight of emotion, the weight of worry, that's one thing a lot of women miss out on. But overall, me personally, just because I've seen it, I think a lot of people, you're not missing out on a lot.
Yeah, but I guess unpopular opinion, I still feel like it would be ideal for people to have a healthy, right? Because I don't want to just say two parent, a healthy two parent household.
Facts. I agree with that part. Yeah.
And a lot of people like, oh, I can do it by myself. And you can, because men have raised their kids by themselves without women, and women have raised their kids without men. But ideally, at least for me, I would prefer a two parent household
Especially in
because,
regards to the social part.
right, because when I look back on my childhood, I have so many memories of my mother and very few of my father. But my father was physically in the home, but not emotionally in the home. Does that make sense?
Perfectly.
And
Okay, that's how it was
so,
in our day.
yeah, so, and people are like, oh, you can grow up to be fine and you can grow up to be fine. But I think you do still, I do feel like I've missed out on some things, not really having that father aspect there. You know what I mean? Like I needed it to be. So I am a big proponent for a two-parent household, unless one of the parents is trifling, because we've seen some of those too. And
Look,
then
I think two-parent households are important, and I'm all about family and community. So I love to see it. I think that it's so difficult now for it to work because there's a misalignment of standards, as well as, in spite of there being standards, people operate in the realm of boundaries and ultimatums, and that makes the relationship very difficult. It's like people
it's
keep
interesting.
passing by each other, never connecting.
How many people actually discuss what parenting is going to look like before they get married or before they have kids? Like I'm sitting here, I remember my ex-husband and I saying we wanted to have kids, but I don't know if we actually talked about. We might have
So
what that looked like. You know what I
I
mean?
got I got you. So this is how I think it goes, right? Um, in the vein of what I was bringing up and kind of address what you're saying. People learn their relationship styles from their parents. Like, how did you see your mother and your father operate in the relationship? Was there a standard? Who set boundaries? Were there ultimatums being set in the relationship? Like, what was the dynamic of that relationship? And then as you become an adult, you often mimic that behavior, or you're maybe turned off by it and you do something completely different. But by the time we meet people, we're not having those conversations. We're just coming in mimicking what we saw growing up.
Sadly true.
So if in our time, the biggest struggle we have as opposed to our predecessors, our elders, is that a lot of their boundaries and ultimatums were set by the community, by their faith. And we've pretty much individualized this journey of relationship, and we come into it talking about boundaries and often setting ultimatums, but not having a standard.
Mm.
But these things are generally personalized. And this is why I was like, why is everybody going to the courthouse in a two-parent home and getting divorced and writing that, on the paper, say, what's the reason that people put irreconcilable differences? I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out what that was.
It's different for
And
everybody.
it finally came to me. It's the boundaries, it's the
Mm-hmm.
standards, it's the ultimatums. And um, relationships are more complex because of it. Because it wasn't until, well, like the last maybe, and definitely in the 1900s at some point, where some psychologists some psychologists came up with a term, and then the therapist took it over and started telling people, oh, you should have this going on in your relationship, the boundaries and blah, blah, blah. But it's the relationships nowadays seem to be shorter lifespans. And people can determine if that's good or not, but relationships of past were much longer. But then people make the argument, well, but they weren't happy. You don't know, and they had a different standard back then. It was about the community, and, it was a lot different. But it's definitely a challenge now.
Well,
So let me, oh, go
well, I
ahead.
was just going to say I couldn't stay in mine, but what I will say is, even though we did not stay married, we both made it made an effort to make my son's life as normal as possible. So I didn't talk about him. He didn't talk about me. Because at the end of the day, us not working out had nothing to do with me being a good mom and him being a good dad to our kid. And so neither one of us did the whole I'm going to use the kid as a pawn type of deal because it wouldn't have been fair to our son, right? Like when
That's
we
beautiful.
split, yeah, when we split, the one thing that we did agree on is we would make it as close to normal as humanly possible for our son so that he didn't have to feel like he had to choose or he didn't have to hear mommy and or daddy talking about each other. Like co-parenting was like on the top of the priority list for us when we split up. That was like the only thing we got along with at the time that we split up was the
So
co-parenting.
can I ask you a
Sure.
few personal questions if you decide to answer them? If it's too much,
Okay.
you could just,
Okay.
So growing up, did you
Mhm.
see what type of relationship style did your parents like? Who set boundaries or who set ultimatums or what was the standard?
So when I think about it, I I feel like my mother kind of ran the household. And what I mean by that is, she took care of the home, she took care of like school stuff, she took care of us. She made sure dinner was always made, lunch, breakfast, whatever. She took care of all those types of things. When my parents fought or argued, we never heard it or saw it. My mother kept that away from us. Like, so they clearly fought and argued because they ended up divorced as well, but we never knew about it. My mother or my father never really talked about one or the other to us. But this goes back to where I say kids are very intuitive. My sister and I we gravitated towards our mom because my mom always seemed to be the parent that showed up. Does that make sense? Regardless of what it was.
That's how I
Um,
usually.
yeah. So, but that's kind of how it was for me in my household with my parents when I was growing up.
So if you didn't see like with your parents like those dynamics of the boundaries and the standards um per se, how did
No.
you with
So
your
go ahead.
with what was your relationship with your mother? How did she have boundaries with you? Did she ever give you ultimatums? Like what was that like?
My mother never really gave me an ultimatum. My mother and I were close, but we had that dynamic where how when you're a teenage girl, you and your mom are gonna butt heads, right? Because you're a girl, you think you know everything. Your mom don't know what she talk about type of thing. And then obviously when I got older and she got older, we were the mother daughter that went and had lunch and got nails and stuff done together. So her boundary was definitely respect. Yes, I'm here for you. I'll do whatever you need. You can talk to me about everything, anything. But at the end of the day, I'm your mother. So that's that boundary. Even though my mother was not a fan of my father, clearly, obviously, because they split up, um, she did still enforce that we needed to respect our father because he was the man of the house. That makes sense. Um, as far as their dynamic, I don't really remember a lot of my mother and father's dynamic was very different from my grandfather's dynamic and my grandmother. And what I mean by that is my grandmother did not work. She was a stay-at-home wife. She made my grandfather every meal. She made his plate. She served him. Like she did the launch. She took care of everything in the home. But as far as bills, bank accounts, driver's license, things of that nature, she knew nothing about that kind of stuff. My mom was very different. She was very independent and she knew what was going on with bills. Obviously, she had a driver's license. She did work. Um, so, yes, she would always cook dinner, but as far as going so much as like making my dad a plate and serving him a plate, she might have done that. I don't recall that. But
I get
that's kind of how that
you.
dynamic went. Am I answering your question?
Somewhat. Because what I would say is, I'll give you some examples. So when I was growing up, and I would probably say now it probably was similar for you. Like when I was growing up, my grandmother, she was a pastor. She raised me with my aunt. Okay, and an ultimatum in the house was, if you sell drugs, you can't live here. If you are addicted to drugs, you can't live here. You can't do that in here. if you live in sin, you can't live here. You can't do that in here. If
Yeah,
you're
we
going to
didn't.
live here, you're going to go to church on pretty much every other day of the week.
Yeah, we
These were
didn't.
ultimatums.
Yeah, we just have to respect the respect thing and having a
But
job.
but what I will say is, with all the ultimatums given, at no point did I ever feel a void of love.
Right.
Okay. And so boundaries, I won't say I saw that so much in the household that I grew up in, but nowadays I hear these words, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And so to me, a boundary is if you go into your parents' home and no, let's use a husband and a wife. You go into the home and you say, and you know that your husband likes to smoke cigars
Mm-hmm.
or your wife likes to smoke cigarettes, and you say, hey, you can't smoke that in the dining room or in the basement or whatever, but you can smoke it somewhere else. So they get to decide if they want to smoke it on the back porch or wherever else. But it
I had
doesn't
that
mean that the
boundary with my
relation.
ex-husband.
Yeah. So boundaries maintain a relationship. A boundary is like, hey, we can still have a relationship, but let's adhere to this thing. But I'm not trying to keep you from doing something because otherwise it would be an ultimatum.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so what
Yeah.
happens is a lot of times in modern relationships, people use ultimatums disguised as boundaries. But there was a time when ultimatums were the operating system because people got the best out of it because you had a standard. So in my household, Christianity was the standard. Jesus was the standard. And so if you weren't trying to adhere to that, you couldn't be there.
Wow. That's tough.
But it never felt hateful. You
And it
understand?
never
Yeah.
felt tough.
Yeah.
And it never felt tough.
It never felt tough. No.
I
Wow.
mean, looking back at it now, it's like, oh my God, like what the hell? What was I? Well, like what did I have to? For me, at least, I don't know about you, Jay. For me, I look back because like we went to church 7 days a week, and it was like,
Mm,
what
mm, mm, mm.
in the
Yeah.
world? But back in
Yeah.
the day, but back during that time, it was just normal. It was just like
It
life.
was normal.
It
Yeah.
was just
And
life. So,
you didn't feel like because you grew up your father in the church pastor,
yep.
right? Like you didn't feel like again, I can just speak for me. I didn't feel like it was coming from a place of hate.
No.
Okay. But I do often feel like nowadays people have taken a lot of the experiences they had as children growing up in whatever household it was, and they're like perverting these ideas of boundaries, but they're making relationships more difficult because they're not welcoming. They're more divisive.
Yeah.
It's like if you do this, let me think about a really good one. A woman might say like if they don't want you to go out, oh you can't hang out and you're going at this time. It's like no, it's like by the time people start giving ultimatums, oftentimes in modern relationships, they don't want the relationship anymore. But that's not how it
Isn't
was
that
back in the day.
controlling though?
It is, yeah. Yeah. People want control. But you gotta remember
Yeah.
that not in what I when I say that what I mean is I have to remember that when I was growing up, what we now call control was a standard because I'm a kid in an environment where a cousin's selling dope, somebody's on drugs, somebody's an alcoholic, and they don't want you to do that. So there is no boundary of, you guys, I know you heard it about the cool parent who's like, oh, come in the house
Yeah.
and do.
Yeah. My mom didn't
No,
play that.
no,
The,
like
per- the the kids that call their parents by the first name. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And so, yeah, the two-parent household is a difficult thing to navigate nowadays because when you start talking to outside sources, that are experts, they're telling you to think about you. Because a boundary isn't just you thinking about you, it's you thinking about the relationship. An ultimatum is you thinking about you. You know.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I feel like what like your grandmother was saying to you about if you're going to live here, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. But
Yeah.
then for a person to grow up and be in a relationship and they're like, oh well, you know, you can't go out like that. That doesn't sound like it's the same thing. And what I mean by that is your
It's not.
grandmother was, yeah, she was saying stuff that was out of love to protect you, right?
Yeah.
And the
Right.
other one is more of I'm controlling your
Control.
every move and every thought. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Mel, do you see that? Like, that's how the dynamic kind of is now. Like, the stand is not really about a standard, but more so about like.
I think now it's more about it is me being totally objective. I think now it's more about it's more about how people view you. It's not even really about, it's more about the impression. It's more about like what people think of you. I don't even really, like, I don't know. Now I think it's so lenient now. Like now it's like people don't go to church that often. And when they do go to church, it's really just to get a couple of views and they leave. And
Yeah, it's
that's,
about optics though. It's
Oh,
not
okay.
real.
I'm
thank
sorry.
you.
I'm sorry.
That's the
I was
word I was
talking.
searching for, is optics. It's more about optics rather than
It's absolutely about optics. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I wasn't talking about the church. I was talking about relationships, like the dynamics now between male, female, and
But that
navigating
too
it.
could be about optics too, though, Tracy. Because think about, so case in point, you know how you see celebrities, they're all booed up online, and it's like people are all up in their comment, like, you know, oh, relationship goals, oh, couple goals. And then all of a sudden, you see a story about them breaking
yeah.
up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't
Yeah.
post that. But they don't post that stuff because it's all about optics. People want to look good at all times and always in a positive light. And it's almost like there's some shame around a breakup, or shame around being single, or shame around being divorced, or shame around being a single parent. You know what I mean? And so people are so consumed with how things look to the outside world instead of more about being consumed about what's best for you and or your family, or what's best for you and or your household. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think people need to stop caring so much about the outside world's opinion, right? Because at the end of the day, the outside world doesn't live in your home, right? So you only
See,
need
but
to be
that's
concerned about, go ahead.
but see, that's where like I'm kind of like a little old school and new school. Like I see how both are important.
About caring what the outside world thinks?
Yeah.
Certain things, yes. But let's say, okay, how many of you guys have seen the videos of the little girls or the little boys that are online and they're either dressed inappropriately, dancing inappropriately, or saying something inappropriately? Those parents don't care about what the outside world thinks, or they wouldn't post them online like that.
Yeah, but so then that kind of goes to my point. Like back in the day, my grandma would be like, "Yo, what are you doing? Get your
Right.
kid off that. Get your kid off like that. Like that's not what we do."
I mean, and I get
Pastor.
that. I get that, but at the same time, if you were to say that to, let's say your neighbor's son your neighbor has a son and he's online MF and this and MF and that, and he's 9 years old, you can say whatever you want to that person. That person's still going to move how they want to move and what's best for their dynamic. If it works for them, it works for them. You know what I'm saying? It might not work for your household, but it works for them. Little
Yeah,
Timmy's
because
not in jail. Little Timmy's not in jail because I let him say whatever he wants. So I don't have to worry about the teacher calling me and them saying he's going to detention because I let him express himself. He can be free. That might work for little Timmy, but that might not work for your household.
See, those people make it bad for everybody. I want to give
Well, I agree.
I want to give y'all a funny story, just kind of in that vein. So in my neighborhood, we have a Facebook group, and someone recently moved here last year, and they have a child. I think she's a single mother, and she posted on the group.
Why you have to say that? Okay.
Because it provides context.
Okay.
So, because she said, so she's got a fence in her yard, and she has images of stray cats that keep jumping over her fence. Okay. And she says, in the post, she says, hey, I don't know whose cats these are, but you know, whoever it is, you need to keep your cats at your home. My kid is afraid of cats. Someone posted a comment, they said, maybe you need to teach your kids to not be afraid of cats.
What?
She then said,
oh my God.
She
She's
then
new
said,
to the neighborhood.
She then says, so first of all, this is none of your business what I do with my kids. Second of all, these must be your cats. The guy then responds and says, yeah, those are not my cats. I didn't mean to be offensive.
Oh, okay.
So there's so much to unpack there. But the part that you said about community made me think about that story, because I mean, I think engaging and caring about what the community says and what you do in your community is something that people should think about, ponder, and navigate with care and integrity.
To an extent. Everything in your household is not for everybody.
So let me ask you, do you understand her perspective about the cat? Like, her kid is afraid of cats.
Yeah, her kid is allergic or afraid. Yeah, I understand that.
Do you understand the guy's perspective that maybe you should teach the kid not to be afraid of cats?
I do
actually. Honestly, I'm glad. I'm glad you guys do. I don't. because this is what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm saying. I asked you to please go get me some water, and you came back with a Coke. Right? I just said, please, you know, my kid is scared of cats, right? So please, can you make sure you watch your cats? I don't need you to tell me, well, maybe you should teach him. No, I didn't ask you for all that. Just if these are your cats, could you please reel them in? Appreciate it. That's it. That's all.
No.
Well, that part's true. But I also feel where he's coming from is like, it's not my responsibility.
Okay, and here's my thing, Tracy. If they're not your cats and it's not your responsibility, or Mel, if they're not your cats and it's not your responsibility, why did you reply?
True. Just don't say anything.
See what I'm saying? Why? Yeah, just don't say anything.
But isn't that what community is for?
No, because here's the thing. Don't
you want to live in that type of community, though? Don't you want to live in a community?
No. I want to live in a community that says, hey, Lisa Marie, I keep seeing this truck pull into your driveway and turn around. This is the license plate. Do you know who this is?
We got that too. We got that here too.
That's perfect. That's great. Yeah. That's what I'm all about. But
you want people to stay out of your personal. Yeah, go ahead.
Unless you're invited in it. And her comment, I don't think her comment was inviting the person into her personal, and B, his comment, right? Whenever something's written in text, you don't know the tonality behind it. So depending on who read it, it could have been taken completely out of context because I had a knee-jerk reaction when you read what he said initially. Did you not hear me? I was like, what the
No,
hell?
I knew
But
it would trigger you. Yeah.
right. But then when she made a comment and he said, okay, thanks, or the way he wrapped it up, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, now it's diffused kind of thing. So
But
that's why I
real
don't
quick,
understand why he made a comment.
Mel, you didn't really unpack like why you thought he was
Right.
right.
Right. Yeah.
Because I want to hear that. Like, why do you think what he said was okay, or if you're saying that at all?
So I'm not even saying he's okay. I feel like he has the right to feel that way, just from
Mm.
the perspective of I'm living my life. Got these cats out here. I don't know about your upbringing. You know what I'm saying? Now, at Lisa Marie's point, they don't say nothing at all. But to
Right.
you,
Because I feel like that's inviting a potential problem.
that's invite. Well, yeah, that's inviting controversy, not controversy, but
A potential issue.
yeah, it's inviting. However, I don't think the question is totally off base, just from the perspective of this world has lots of cats.
Mm-hmm.
Cats, and we've had cats in our life, Trey. Cats usually don't really touch you or come near you.
No, no.
You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, especially again, that also goes back to people's preference of just like we live in a world where dogs are so openly, like for instance, if that was a dog, people would like crucify you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But again, that's a whole nother subject. But to stay on point of what we're talking about here, his point of view is valid, but at the same time, and again, it's my viewpoint in life, like what would hurt you to control the things you can control to help this world get along easier?
Mm.
But
But
I
to that
think
point, Mel,
yeah.
I know people that have had negative interactions with dogs at a very young age and in adulthood is still very traumatized by dogs. So why would you
Mm-hmm.
force that upon somebody? So, like you guys both have kids, right? If you guys were in that same situation as the mother, I still didn't figure out where the single mother part came in, but if you were still in the same situation as the mother and you put that in the Facebook group chat and the response to your request is maybe you should teach your kids how to not be afraid
It's,
of cats, how would you
it's
respond?
so funny
Honestly,
you say that. No, I'm gonna tell you
honestly,
why it's
yeah.
so funny. It's so funny
Okay.
you say that because I see foxes, deer, rabbits, cat, dogs on my cameras. In
Okay.
fact, there was a beautiful cat on the steps the other day, and I said, "Hey Harper, come to the steps so you can look at the cat." And by the time she came, the cat scurried off.
Okay.
Like I would not react how she reacted about the cat.
But you got to take into in consideration your kids have to be afraid of cats, and Tracy, you're a parent, so as a mother, your mama bear. Of course, I don't know this woman. This is all speculation. Mama bear kicks in if you know your child is deathly afraid of something, right? So, because it sounds like it's a child, not a teenager, but I could be wrong. I thought you mentioned the kid's age, but maybe
The
not.
child, it was a child. They probably from the picture they look like they're probably about let's say 6, 7 years old.
Okay, so if your child is afraid of cats, that you're okay with, and I'm not saying it's wrong or not, right? I was just curious. Roles reversed, would
It's
you be
gonna
okay?
sound insensitive, but if my kid was never attacked by a cat, I would say please get over that fear. Like it's gonna be
Well,
very
yeah,
beneficial if you get over that fear. Like
absolutely, that's understandable. But
yeah.
the fact that she said that they're afraid, right? That's what would trigger me to be like, yeah, I'm not. We're not.
But
We'll
you
cross that bridge
but
when we're ready to get
if we're fair, and I hate to
uh-huh.
say this, if we're fair.
Go
Do you
ahead,
know how
go
many
ahead.
people put their fears on those around them?
What do you
Like
mean?
the kid is not afraid of cats. She is.
But we don't know that. That's just speculation.
I
For all,
know.
right,
I
for all
know.
we know, she might not even just like cats, period, and don't want the cats in your yard. We don't know.
She said, I got this fence and these cats keep jumping over my fence. And on top of that, my kid is afraid of cats.
Right. So, my whole thing is I don't feel like she was in the wrong in asking people to rope their cats in. I do feel like his response could have gone left depending on how it was taken because it was a text and no tone behind it. Um, but I don't tell me what to do with my kid. If you want to offer, if I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel about it. If you want to offer a suggestion when I've asked for a suggestion, listen, I am all ears. But for you to just tell me what you think is best for my child, I mean, you can say it, and then I'm it's going to go in one ear and out the other.
Hilarious.
I think that's a boundary in itself, Tracy. Like in neighborhoods,
Yeah, that's an ultimatum.
that's the ultimatum boundary, whatever you want to call it. Like there's just some lines that you can't cross unless you have that pre-existing relationship. And these two people didn't know each other, obviously.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like I said earlier, it can't be called a boundary if it ends with an ultimatum. But people do that all the time, and there are a lot of people navigating that way, and it makes their lives with relationships more difficult. Like you got to know that if you see her posting that in a public platform, that's how she is.
But so let me ask you a question. Do you think it's problematic that she asked people's cats to be reined in? Under the guise that there is a child that's afraid of the cat there.
So in America, we have tons of feral cats. Those cats don't belong to anybody. They're just cats out and about. And she's acting like somebody's like targeting her backyard.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't get that from.
No, this is me making assumptions. I'm making assumptions.
Oh.
I was like, I see them. Like I said, I see them in my yard sometimes, but I'm not like, oh my god.
Yeah, but you're not bothered by them for whatever reason. She's bothered by them.
I mean, that's with a grain of salt because sometimes I do see cat poop, and that bothers me. But I'm like, what am I going to do? They're cats. I see fox poop. What am I going to do? Call the county and be like, hey, do something about these foxes. These fox. I don't even think, is it foxes or fox? Fox. But yeah, everybody navigates the world a little differently. I just thought it was alarming when I saw it. But I think both of them were just I think both of them were looking for drama that day.
I mean, it sounds like it. I mean, it literally sounds like a controversial post and two people in the comment section.
Yeah. I love community posts. I got one where like I've seen it in my yard where somebody keeps walking their dog and not picking up the poop. And somebody posted anonymously and said, hey, whoever is letting their dogs poop in the yard needs to stop. That's a touchy one.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
About asking people to stop?
That's that's a courtesy thing, right? Because
yeah, but how would you approach it if you saw somebody doing it? How would you approach it?
I've done it before. If someone's pooping, I said they let their dog poop and they got ready to walk away. And I guess they didn't see me. And I said, are you going to pick that up? And she turned around like, what? What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
And she turned around like I started to watch. I guess I did because she didn't know I was there. And she went and got she didn't have poop bags with her. She went and got a poop bag and picked it up. But it's like, listen, until you've stepped in somebody else's dog poop, you won't understand it. And she picked it up. I mean, I didn't like call her out her name or anything. I just was like, hey, you can pick that up.
Did you ever see them after that?
I have seen her after that.
Did y'all have conversation, or is it like a?
Well, we're not close enough to like speak because they now walk their dog on the wood line and she doesn't have bags with her. So I guess she's like, well, I'm still going to let him poop and not pick it up, but I'm down here on the wood line where people walk, so it shouldn't bother them, which is fine because she let the dog do it like right in the main walk area. So no, I mean, usually when I see her, it's when I'm outside with my dog too, but she's far enough away at the tree line that we don't really cross paths like that. She just happened to be walking in front and let her dog just drop a hot rock. And I'm like, yeah, you gonna pick
You need
that
to
up?
have a damn. You need to have a damn GoPro on you when you're out and about.
Why? So you're telling me, as manicured as you like to keep your lawn, if somebody is walking by and you're sitting on your porch drinking a little coffee and reading the paper and their dog drops a hot rock, you're not going to say anything to them?
I don't know. I think it's case by
You
case.
will.
Like if I feel
I
like,
promise you. You don't have to be an a-hole.
but you know when you say something, no matter how you say it, that relationship is.
I understand that,
There's
right?
no
But here's my
relationship
thing.
after this. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So here's my thing. You know what you're doing is wrong. And because you're letting your dog poop and not picking it up, that means you don't care about anybody else but yourself, which means I'm fine with not having any type of relationship with you. So I'm not, I don't,
Interesting. Okay.
I don't feel put out by that because you're an inconsiderate person. I pick my dog poop up. And I don't want anybody else to step in it. You're inconsiderate. So I'm okay not having a relationship with her. I'll be all right. When I tell you I won't lose any sleep, I won't. It speaks to the type of person you are. You're either inconsiderate, you're lazy, you don't care about anybody else, or you're entitled. And I don't rock with any of those four personality traits. So I'm okay with it.
I feel what you're saying. That's actually a great perspective that I'll think about if I see somebody dog pooping in my yard.
Yeah, wait till one of your
I'm gonna
kids
just put a
steps in
camera
it.
out there and touch them.
Wait till one of your kids step in it. I guarantee you'll say something.
I'll be pissed.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be pissed.
And my thing is, listen, if you don't like picking up dog poop, don't be a pet owner.
Hey, if you don't like poop, don't be a home landowner.
Right.
All
Yeah, because
types of things poop in my yard.
deer, rabbit. Yeah. I had a bird shit on my shoulder one time. I was walking to my car. I was so pissed.
That's good luck.
I was on my way to work. I had to turn around and go back into the house. I was so mad.
Mel, in your neighborhood, do you have to deal with people and their dogs pooping and stuff like that?
No.
No.
We have
Would you say anything if they did?
Yeah. If it became like a real problem.
No, you got to do it.
If you saw it one time,
and I'm passive aggressive. So I'm like that kind of person where it's like, oh, I see you do it one time, let it slide. Second time, I'll probably clean the poop up myself.
Oh no.
Yeah. Third time, I'll probably clean the poop up, then bring it to your door and leave it at your door.
I have done that.
Like real passive aggressive stuff. Then the fourth time, conversation.
I put mine in a doggy bag and I hung it on your doorknob.
Hold on. I gotta hear Mel's first step. Say it again, Mel. First step is
yeah, I'm gonna let it slide.
You're not gonna say that
yet. Second, I'm gonna clean up myself if I was saying a word. Third time, I'm gonna clean up myself and then put it at his doorstep.
Let me ask you, is it wrong to call people out on bad behavior?
It's because we're men. That's what it is.
What does that mean?
We understand, like, both Mel and I are bigger men.
Okay.
So there's a part of when we say things to people, there's a, what's the word I'm looking for? We can make them feel threatened.
If you as a bigger man say something to somebody let their dog poop, it's not because you're a bigger man. They might feel threatened because it's like, oh damn, I knew I was doing something wrong, but now this bigger dude gonna call me out on it. It's guilt.
It's guilt.
It's guilt.
No, I know what Trey's trying to say though, because I know I dealt with this my whole life being a big black dude. It's like you have to, walk on eggshells. You have to. Because any situation could be turned around to where you're the aggressor while the other person is blatantly wrong. It's quite remarkable, actually. I love it, actually. Not love it as in I like it, but love it from a like a scientific perspective of like I love to watch how human beings behave when they're wrong. So they try to find anything able to manipulate and shift the situation to their favor. It's quite amazing.
So let me ask you a question. You're sitting in your car parked somewhere, and you're sitting in your car. And somebody pulls up next to you and they open their door into your car door. Do you say anything or you let that slide?
I
I'll say,
definitely say something.
whoa.
You both
Yeah,
will say something?
and I'll pick and
Yeah,
choose in that too.
that happened to me before. And I said,
So
whoa.
why? So why? Because you're still a bigger dude. Why do you say something in that instance, but not with the dog poop instance? I'm just curious.
Because I think socially it's more acceptable when it's like natural. Like that's a natural reaction. Like if they hit my door and it was like a delayed reaction, then it will be awkward. But if it's like a natural reaction, like, whoa. Also, being a big black guy, you have to like really learn how to change the tone of your voice and change the octave of your voice.
Nah, listen,
Like
Mel, don't
it's
shrink.
like I was telling somebody like I don't even know what my real voice is.
Okay.
And it's that sad. Like I really don't. Like I don't know if it's like I don't know if I have a real deep voice. I don't know if I really just don't know. Because I've always have to like when especially around the YT people, I have to really have a much more goofier voice, like less abrasive voice. Like say if like somebody hit my car and I'm like, hey, I would be wrong, even though they hit my
Yeah,
car. It
yeah.
makes no sense. I know it's America. We have to really the code switching thing has really saved my life, man. I really appreciate that life skill.
Yeah, you got to navigate
I,
differently. Like you can say things and people won't feel so threatened,
Yeah, but
anytime you call anybody out on something they've done wrong, no matter the octave that you have, they're always going to be on the defense.
Yeah.
People don't like to be called out. They don't like to be called out, regardless. You could have the sweetest, most charming, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, all that. You call them
Let me
out,
ask
it's
you.
problematic.
Let me ask you a question now. Let's say you live on a property and it's 2 acres, okay, and you find out that again somebody's walking their dog and that dog poops on the edge of your property. Should you be
Mm-hmm.
bent out of state about that?
2 acres, edge of my property. I should be bent out of shape, but I am going to say, hey, could you please not? Could you please pick that poop up? This is how I think, though, right? Because I used to live on 2 acres when I lived in Clayton. And my ex-husband used to have to cut the grass. And I don't know if you've ever driven over poop in a lawnmower.
It's not fun. No, you don't like
Exactly.
that.
So I won't be like an a-hole. I'm like, hey, yeah, I know you're out here, blah, 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 blah. Would you mind picking that up? Or maybe just walking a little further that way when you let your dog poop? I'd appreciate it. So we don't have to deal with it when we're cutting the grass and all that jazz. I don't think you need to be bent out of shape. It's on the edge of the property line. But I my personality is to still kind of bring it to put them on notice, like, hey, you're letting your dog poop on my property line, and if you could just move it the other way, because my thing is, we were talking about boundaries earlier. I feel like if you don't attempt or successfully set boundaries with people, they continually do whatever they want to do. They still may, but most of the time, and you're in your delivery, when you set a boundary with people, most people try to respect that boundary. Most, not all, but
Interesting.
what.
Like I love that. I like that. We ended up talking about dog shit. No shit. Well, look, let's we'll wrap it up and thank you guys for listening. Please like, subscribe, or comment, and until next time.